You're probably wondering why I'm bothering you. Well, I felt it was a disservice not to share with you how I just saved my in-laws from paying PG&E over $27,000 in the next 25 years. I'll explain more here shortly. You see, my in-laws just moved here to Fresno, California from Texas. And I know you're probably thinking, wait a minute, the story is usually the other way around. With the way that things are getting in California, that's understandable. But we can save that conversation for a later time. The reason I felt it was important to share with you what I'm about to tell you is because, much like my in-laws, you probably pay more and more and more to PG&E each year, even while using the same, if not less, energy than you did the year before. Perhaps you even keep your thermostat at the recommended 78 degrees. Or if you're old school like my in-laws or my parents, at 80 degrees or above, just to save a little bit more money. You see, unlike a deregulated Texas, we here in the Central Valley have a monopoly. And that monopoly's name is PG&E. And PG&E charged my in-laws approximately $300 per month across the span of 12 months or 1 year. That's roughly $3,600. Now, understandably, to some of you, that might not be very high, but that's because my in-laws are extremely tight with their thermostat, their budget, and they conserve as much as they possibly can. But that's not the point. Take a look here. If we took what my in-laws paid last year at $3,600 and you took that and multiplied that by 25 years, that comes out to approximately $90,000. Now you might be wondering why I multiplied $3,600 by 25 years. Allow me to answer with a story. During my experience of selling real estate for almost a decade, I began to deal with solar more and more and more. Other than the fact that California passed a law on January 1st, 2020 that all new construction homes must have solar on it, I kept hearing horror stories after horror stories of bad salespeople in the solar industry bait and switching people to get bad systems. And in the worst of situations, the solar system was the deal breaker because of how bad the solar salesman deceived that homeowner. And very often, the elderly are the ones who get preyed on. Sadly, sometimes this is intentional because that salesperson now knows in the future they have a second chance to sell bigger systems to that same homeowner down the road because of the big true-up bill. And believe it or not, it's not always the company. Sometimes it's the salesperson themselves. Sometimes they don't know any better because that's the only way they were trained. Or even worse, they do know and they intentionally mislead in order to make more money. Solar, unfortunately, don't have as many regulations as real estate does. That's why you see so many of these really young salespeople walking around in your neighborhood. The barrier of entry in solar is extremely low. And that is why I stepped in and got licensed for solar. Even though I put food on my family's table through real estate, I got tired of sitting back and watching people get taken advantage of like my in-laws. So I can not only help families buy and sell homes, but be able to provide trustworthy, reliable service in the solar space. Because remember, solar doesn't feed my family, real estate does. Solar is just another avenue for me to get good news and help to more families. Now let's jump back to why I multiplied $3,600 by 25 years. Most solar systems have a lifespan and a warranty of up to 25 years. Thus, many financed or leased systems spread their loan across 25 years. Of course, there are other options, but I wanted to show you what my in-laws were on target to pay PG&E if they had stayed with PG&E. And I hope this next part makes sense, but if you are really going to think that PG&E would keep their current rate, or your current rate at that matter, the same next year and the year after that for the next 25 years, you're sadly mistaken. This $90,000 are going to completely change in the next coming years. PG&E is like a landlord. They're in it to make money. It's a business. So they're going to jack up the prices every single year, if at all possible. If you're a subscriber and you've been following along with my other videos, you'll understand that historically PG&E increases their rates at 4% on average. That's historically. But as of the late 5 to 8 years, it's been between 20 to 40%. Take 2022 to 23, for example. They had a 40% increase in just 1 year. And then on January 1st, 2024, it went up another 13%. So if you're doing the math, that's 53%. Let me show you what that means. For a low, even number, for our understanding purposes, let's just say last year for the amount of energy that you used, you only paid $1,000. Again, that's extremely low, but I'm just, for the example, I used a low number. $1,000 last year for the energy that you used. After the 53% increase, for the same amount of energy, not more, the same amount, you will now owe PG&E $1,530 for the same amount. That's because they raised their rates. So best case scenario, my in-laws would be on the hook for $90,000. But realistically, it'll be closer to over $105,000 in the next 25 years. But here comes the good news and what you've been waiting for. After sitting down with my in-laws and discovering what their needs were and processing through that, we were able to get their payment down to $214 per month for the next 25 years. You heard me right, $214 per month for the next 300 months. Now to put that into context, remember last year they were on the hook for $300 and there was no way that PG&E was going to keep their rates the same, right? So it was going to increase the next year. Now, my in-laws know exactly how much they need to pay per month for their solar system regardless of what PG&E does. PG&E can't tell them what to do with their money anymore. Before, PG&E would tell my in-laws to jump, and like many PG&E customers out there, they would have to respond, how high? Now, some of you watching might be thinking, oh, I can't afford that. How much is the down payment? What's it gonna cost me? Buckle up. There's no money down. Zero money out of pocket. There is no catch. I know it sounds too good to be true, but I encourage you, on your time off, Google my name, Pat Kim, Fresno, solar and real estate, to vet me. I have a trusted name in the real estate industry here in town. I work, I live, I play in the same town that I serve my clients. I can't afford to build my business on lies. It's a small, big town, and word travels fast. And what's more is that our company at Stellar Solar is a local company. We're not nationwide. We can't rely on national funds to stay in business. We at Stellar Solar feed our families through referrals in town. So to summarize, there's no money down, no catch. It's going to be much less than what you pay PG&E right now. Otherwise, I will not sell you solar. I commit to you that you will have an honest answer from me. If you need solar, great. If you don't, I'll tell you that. So some of you might be wondering what's next. My encouragement to you is sit down with as many solar companies as you'd like. Ask them for their best quote. A quote does not require a credit pool, so don't even give them your social security number if they ask you for it. It's not required for a proposal. Then give me at Stellar Solar a call or an email, and I'll leave it in the description below if it's not already on the Google page. And 9 times out of 10, I'm confident that I can provide you with a better offer, especially those guys at your favorite warehouse store. You know, the one that sells incredibly good and affordable churros, pizzas, and hot dogs, if you know what I mean. We love getting calls from customers with their preferred solar company's quote, because they cannot offer what Stellar Solar does. And we are confident that you will choose us. Hope to connect soon. For all things real estate and solar, Pat Kim.